Okay, Broncos country, looks like we are live. Sorry about the slight delay, but you guys know the drill by now. We got to let this stream breathe for just a second here and make sure that everything is nice and stable all across the YouTube platform. Welcome in, Broncos country, to this Denver Broncos Syndicate pregame stream as your 2-2 Denver Broncos are set to hit the road to the Lincoln Financial Field, one of the most hostile environments in football, to take on the undefeated Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. This game, at least on paper, is going to be a big litmus test for these Denver Broncos. But when you look at how these Philadelphia Eagles are playing right now, they're not playing their best football really on either side of the ball, especially in the trenches. And you guys know what I like to say. This game is won and lost in the trenches. So let's get some people streaming on in here. It says we've already got one person in the house, so we will go ahead and wait a little bit for some more people to stream on in here. And while we do that, we will go ahead and take care of some housekeeping matters. If you could just do me a big favor and smash the like button on this stream, as well as subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you guys want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. That would be absolutely awesome. You can do so by clicking the link in the description below. It's not mandatory whatsoever, but if you guys want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow, I would really appreciate if you would consider it. We've got Kim in the house saying, got to show up on both sides of the ball today, just like on Monday. 100%. You've got to play your best football, and most importantly, you've got to stay disciplined in this game. The Broncos can't afford any self-inflicted wounds like last week. The Bengals are a really bad football team. Without Joe Burrow, they're one of the worst football teams in the entire NFL. So you have to play your best football, because even though the Philadelphia Eagles aren't playing their best football right now, they're finding ways to win. Last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jalen Hurts had 0 passing yards in that second half, and the Eagles still found a way to get the job done. Gotta wet the whistle, get rid of that cotton mouth. We got John Dobbs in the house saying today could be a signature win. Yes, it could, man. Yes, it could, especially in terms of getting that hype and attention from the national media. I mean, this would be huge. The Philadelphia Eagles obviously have all kinds of depth. They've got Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. Their wide receivers, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. We broke this down in depth in the game preview video yesterday. It's been kind of a struggle to get those guys going here in these first few weeks, so we're kind of hoping that this isn't a breakout game for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. We got Derek in the house saying, here in Philly, live at the game, go Broncos, huge opportunity to make some noise. Well, first of all, have an awesome time at the game, Derek. Be sure to represent Broncos country well. That is really awesome. Philadelphia is one of those cities that I hope to be able to visit one day. Couldn't make it happen this year, unfortunately, but that means we get to be here in the studio doing this game stream, which is always all kinds of fun. Kim asks, is PS2 going to be on A.J. Brown today? Yes, that seems to be the case. A.J. Brown is their ex-receiver, so he's always split out wide. He lines up tight to the line of scrimmage, or he lines up with his foot on the line of scrimmage. He's on the line at all times, so he's going to be pressed a lot from PS2, so PS2 is going to be right on him. He's going to be trying to jam him at the line of scrimmage, trying to reroute him, so I think that's going to be the plan there, is to have PS2 on A.J. Brown. Derek says, my second time live seeing the Broncos play. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Eagles fans are crazy. Broncos-Eagles games are freaking fun, man. And that's just based on my experience of going to an Eagles game here in Denver when they came to town in 2021. I mean, the Eagles fans were loud, they were rowdy. They were cheering. They were singing "Fly, Eagles, Fly." I mean, they were super passionate. You could not go without noticing them. So, yeah, I couldn't imagine an entire stadium full of them. And that's going to be the atmosphere that the Denver Broncos are going to have to contend with today. And let's go ahead, as we usually do, and go over some keys to victory here. And the first two are the same ones we always have in every single game stream. Stay healthy and no stupid penalties. We already talked about how you can't afford to shoot yourself in the foot. The Broncos had some pre-snap penalties last week. The holding calls, they piss you off, but I can kind of live with them. They're football plays, basically, but no face masks, nothing dumb. You just can't do it, man. So if the Broncos have just one or two of these stupid penalties, I think they run serious risk of losing this game. The margin for error in this game is slim to none. We got Jackson in the house saying so excited for the Broncos game. What do you think will be the key factor for the Broncos to win? Quite frankly, I think there are several key factors, and we'll keep discussing them here. Next one is going to be clog the rushing gaps up front, give Saquon Barkley nowhere to run, and most importantly, don't let him bounce anything to the outside. If he bounces to the outside and turns the corner, that's all it takes. He's gone. He can hit one of those giant home runs, which he hasn't had this year. That's been why his volume production hasn't been as good as last season, is because Saquon hasn't had one of those big runs. The Broncos cannot afford to let that happen in this game. They've allowed some explosive runs to guys like Jonathan Taylor this year, so hopefully that doesn't happen in this one. Stay aware of Jalen Hurts as a rushing threat, and it's kind of the same thing as Saquon Barkley. You've got to keep contained on him, and you can't let him get to the outside and turn the corner on one of our linebackers. And if that happens, we're screwed. Jalen Hurts can also burst out big runs, so you've got to keep contained, you've got to set the edge well, and you cannot let anything from either Hurts or Barkley on the ground bounce to the outside. We've got David saying, hope the Broncos look good like they did last game, and please no 3 and out on the first drive of the game. I feel you, man. I definitely feel you. The Broncos, the best key to defending this Eagles offense is keep them on the sideline and keep them cold on the bench. That means long, sustained, methodical drives on offense. J.K. Dobbins is going to be a big key in this one. We'll talk about that a little bit further in just 1 second. The next key is going to be pressure must come from up the middle. The weaknesses on the Eagles' offensive line right now are their guards. Landon Dickerson, who's playing through some pretty significant injuries, and he just doesn't look like himself out there. And then Tyler Steen, who was a backup last year, he replaces Mekhi Becton in the lineup. Becton's now a Charger, and he hasn't looked very good. So Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, those are the guys that I'm looking at to generate pressure up the middle and possibly collapse the pocket on Jalen Hurts. That's going to be key. Maverick says, early pregame show today. Yeah, I usually like to do it about an hour and 15 before the game kicks off. So 11 o'clock game, 9:45 pregame show. We did start a little bit later than that, though. If Saquon has more than 100 yards rushing, we're lost. Oh, yeah, 100%. And Saquon just hasn't had one of those big-time games yet this year. The Broncos are hoping that this isn't the breakout game for Saquon Barkley. Additionally, they're hoping this isn't the breakout game for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. The Eagles have been throwing more to their tight ends this year. Jalen Hurts has been a little bit inconsistent this year. I still think Jalen Hurts is one of, if not the most underrated quarterbacks in the league right now. But the entire offensive operation for the Eagles just hasn't been as consistent as last season. And for me, at least, it all starts up front with that offensive line. And that's the mismatch that the Denver Broncos should look to take advantage of up front. You've got to stay aware of those boundary shots to A.J. Brown versus single high coverage. At their core, this Denver Broncos defense is still a single high team. Vance Joseph has dropped back and played a little bit more two high coverage these past couple of weeks, but they're still a heavy cover 1, cover 3 team. Whenever the Broncos are in those specific coverages, that leaves those one-on-one down the sideline shots to A.J. Brown. I trust Pat Surtain's going to be able to take 90% of those away, but at least one time in the game, it's probably going to happen. So that's something the Broncos are going to have a plan for. They're also going to have a plan to minimize having Alex Singleton in coverage. Alex Singleton, former Eagle, If any team knows his weaknesses, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. So Alex Singleton cannot be put in positions where he gets exploited out there. Otherwise, the Broncos are screwed, and I mean royally screwed. The best way to counter the tush push, get him in 3rd and long. Damn straight, man. That's exactly what you do. You can't let them be in position to run the tush push. If they're in position to run it, they're going to convert on it. It's literally an almost impossible play to stop. You've got to have multiple factors going right for you as a defense simultaneously if you want any chance at all of stopping the tush push. So the Denver Broncos are going to have a plan to not allow the Philadelphia Eagles to be in less than 2-yard situations. If they are, they're getting up there and they're running that damn tush push, or they're running some of the counters that they have off the tush push. We've seen that over these past couple of weeks. They've got a couple of option plays off of that tush push formation that they've used to exploit defenses who are just selling out to stop the tush push. So the best way to avoid all of that nonsense is to not let them be in position to run any of these plays, the tush push or any of the tush push counters. Nick Bonitto has to have a major impact in the pass rush. This is going to be a really interesting matchup for Nick Bonitto as well, because he's predominantly going to be going up against Jordan Mailata, the left tackle of the Philadelphia Eagles. And according to statistics here, if I can find it, Jordan Mailata, he's given up 6 pressures but hasn't given up a sack yet this year. He's the 11th graded pass blocking tackle in the NFL right now. So Jordan Mailata, it's going to be strength on strength, Bonitto on Mailata. That's going to be a really fun matchup to watch in the trenches in this one. And arguably, whatever side wins that matchup will probably end up winning this football game, just like Derek is alluding to here. Maverick says no leaky zone coverage so far, or as I refer to it as soft and squishy. Yeah, so far so good. When Denver drops back and plays zone now, they don't give them 10 yards worth of cushion. They maybe give them like 4 or 5 yards worth of cushion, which I can live with. You can't really press out of a lot of zone coverage looks. Otherwise, you're going to get burned almost immediately. But whenever you're giving them only about 5 yards of cushion, that's not going to give them free releases off the line where they can just throw it in the flat, spam the middle of the field, run the ball down your throat all day long. So that was the big issue I had when the Denver Broncos were playing that style of zone coverage in the early Vance Joseph days when he was really trying to replicate the Vic Fangio stuff. He still does some of that Fangio stuff like on 3rd down, especially 3rd down and 7+, where you're okay with giving up a short completion underneath, but running that kind of stuff on 1st and 2nd down, no dice. You just can't do it. And the Broncos, they're a lot more disciplined, and they play their zone coverage a lot better than they did several years ago. That really got under my skin and pissed me off, quite frankly. We've got Kenneth in the house saying, let's go Broncos all the effing way. We'll do our best and get it done. I think this Broncos team, if they show up and play their best football, they might have a better chance than what they're getting credit for. Feed J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey early and often. You want to keep Vic Fangio's defense honest here. Force them to play tight to the line, sell out to stop the run. Vic's been playing a lot more single high coverage this year than he has in previous years. So force them to play that single high. That way you can attack favorable matchups in the passing game. I was talking about Adoree Jackson being a favorable matchup in this game, but reports are indicating that Adoree Jackson has actually been benched for this one in favor of young corner Keely Ringo for the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's still probably going to be a somewhat favorable matchup that Bo Nix could look to attack, especially when the Eagles are in some of those single high looks. But the key to getting them into those looks is committing to the run game early and often. That way the Eagles will sell out and they will stop the run. Take those deep shots when the defense gives them to you, again, especially when they're in those single high looks. But the Adoree Jackson thing, we talked about that pretty heavily in the preview. Unfortunately, the Eagles have kind of run out of patience with him, and he's no longer in the lineup. Bo Nix must be patient against Vic Fangio's zone defense. Can't force anything into coverage. Can't get too impatient and try to force something that isn't there. Otherwise, Vic Fangio is going to make him pay, and Bo Nix going to end up throwing multiple interceptions in this game. Just take what the defense gives you at all times. And like we already talked about, don't let the Eagles be in short yardage situations where they can run the tush push. If they run the tush push, then you're in trouble. So just don't let them be in situations where they can run the tush push. All right, guys, how do we think this game's going to go? I think if the Broncos show up, play disciplined, don't shoot themselves in the foot, win the battle up front in the trenches, I think this could be a win. If the Broncos are able to get the ball in the final possession, they're going to march downfield, they're going to get into field goal range, and Will Lutz is going to kick the game-winning field goal. They're going to atone for their special teams mistakes these past couple of weeks. I think they do it. I really do. I have the Denver Broncos winning this game 20-17. Let me know your score predictions in the chat below, guys, and I will take any questions if you guys have them. We're going to start winding down the stream here. That way we can start preparing for the game stream. So let me know if you guys have anything. Again, man, really, really excited for this game. This is going to be a great matchup for this Broncos team. And like I said, this Eagles team has some vulnerabilities. They have some weaknesses. And Sean Payton, Vance Joseph, no doubt they've got some plans to exploit these weaknesses for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is going to be a great matchup of two really well-coached football teams, two teams that really don't like to lose. They play sound fundamental football. Both teams do. So we'll see, man. I'm really, really excited for this one. Devin asks, how impressed will you be if they win? I'll be really impressed because, like I said at the beginning of this stream, even though the Philadelphia Eagles aren't playing their best football right now, they're still finding ways to win. Last week against the Buccaneers, Jalen Hurts literally had 0 passing yards in the second half. They still found a way to get the job done. So this Eagles team, they find ways, and if this Broncos team wants to win, they're going to have to find a way. It's all about the adage of any given Sunday. It doesn't have to be the best team, it's just in general. It's who is the best team on that given Sunday. We got Braylon in the house. Detroit Lions fans sends me all kinds of Broncos news on Twitter. Thank you so much, Braylon, for doing that. Says, please beat the Eagles. If the Eagles lose, America wins. Obviously, the Detroit Lions would benefit greatly if the Eagles lose. I believe they would be in first place in the NFC. So no doubt Lions fans are going to be watching this game with a very close eye to see what happens if the Denver Broncos can come away with an upset. DJ says, if they don't stop Saquon Barkley, it's over. Absolutely. Barkley hasn't had a big game yet this season. The Broncos are hoping that this isn't going to be his big breakout performance. All right, guys, let me know your score predictions in the chat. And while you guys do that, I'm going to go ahead and get the link for the game stream here. That way you guys know where to go. YouTube sometimes will hide these game streams, so I want to go ahead and make sure that everybody who wants to be there can be there. Click this link, and there we go. Braylon says 28-24 Broncos. This game is going to be the early window game, so 11 o'clock Denver time, 1 o'clock Detroit time. All right, there is the link to the game stream, guys. I really hope you guys can join me. It's all kinds of fun. We do live play-by-play. We have game audio. We can't bring in the game footage, unfortunately, for copyright reasons. YouTube would take the stream down faster than I could say it, and my channel would most likely get banned. I don't want to risk that, obviously, but we can do the next best thing, bring in the game audio. I'll do live play-by-play coverage, all of that good stuff. Derek says, PS2 pick 6, calling it. Broncos 27, Eagles 21. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, again, DJ, we can't bring in the actual game footage, but we can bring in the audio and all of that stuff. It's just too risky with copyright. YouTube does not play around with that stuff. All right, guys, be sure to leave a like on this stream as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you guys want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. I would really appreciate it. The link for that is in the description below. It's not mandatory whatsoever, but if you guys want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow, I would really appreciate it. Again, the link is in the description below. All right, guys, and until next time, I will see you on the game stream at about 10:50 Mountain Time. I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.